Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. And after Kenny made his comments known on FaZe playing the victim in his opinion over the whole Thieves versus FaZe drama, he's now doubled down on Cellium specifically, calling out him breaking the gentleman's agreement over the signal 50 being banned. We saw Beans use it, but Cellium used it first and pulled it out once again in the major, revving up once again the FaZe versus Thieves rivalry. But also, what could the consequences be for Cellium doing so, and will we see other teams start to do similar things when they play FaZe in the future? Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I greatly appreciate it. Loads of new subs yesterday. Love to see it. First of all, quickly on the Elite from last night. I thought it was cool that Kel's qualified yet again. I believe she qualified a few series ago earlier in the season, and she's done it again. So congrats to Kel's and team and all those that also qualified for the Elite in the European side last night. Speaking of challenges though, Doug St. Martin also got his confirmation yesterday. So as Blade was very hopeful that, you know, Doug's massive announcement was going to be that he's going to get put into the starting team for Boston. Unfortunately, not the case yet, at least. But they did confirm that. I think this is what Doug has been teasing for some time now, this big update that we were preparing for. It is a, well, I guess they're preparing some sort of video here to actually announce this. But it's Snoopy, a Mexican SMG player, joining the Boston Academy roster. This is a really cool thing. And look, at the end of the day, Doug has brought up a lot of talent over the last couple of years. He had Beans on his team not long ago. He's now in. Ghosty was on the Boston Academy last year. We know where he now is, of course. And obviously, recently, Kremprite, who was a phenomenal player for the Boston Academy, their kind of star player, was carrying them a fair bit. Now he's in the starting team for Boston, and Doug is the man to kind of, well, enable this to happen to a certain extent. Clearly has a very good eye for upcoming challenger talent, and Snoopy's been a name that I've heard for some time now as a potential next up SMG player in challenges, and they're bringing him onto the Boston Academy under Doug's wing, which is definitely a promising sign for his future, given the history there. And also, even to make the history better, right, we know when Doug went to Mexico back in 2015 or something like that, when he went to meet Yana Garcia, of course. And this is why they're saying things are coming full circle, because he went to Mexico back then, and now, you know, they're kind of teasing that they've gone to Mexico and they found this guy Snoopy, and here's Doug today explaining the present situation. It's pretty cool stuff. He says, welcome by Frog. So yeah, hopefully it goes well for all involved. Speaking of Boston though, this is their blueprint available for purchase May the 2nd for, well, you can see the options of that stock, etc, for the Vaznev. Now, there's been a lot of talk about this over the last few weeks. I imagine a few of you guys saw all these getting leaked a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't really wanting to talk about them just because Activision and the whole, you know, they strike the channels and stuff, but now everyone's tweeting it, so I'm sure it's going to be fine. And here we go. It's announced in a couple of days' time now, the Boston Breach Blueprint. Now, all teams have had these made over the past few months here, and this is the first time really in CDL history, and in a long time, we have got good CDL camos. Now, fundamentally, these aren't camos, these are blueprints for a specific weapon. I don't know, this has been talked about for months. These have been designed for months. I'm pretty sure back in February, I heard that these were ready, and I don't really understand why it took them so long to arrive into the game. And there was some concern, and for good reason, that if the Vaznev was nerfed, or, you know, what people use on it is changed, then it all of a sudden becomes irrelevant, which is a great point. And with Infinity Ward, you wouldn't put it past them to pull something like that off and just completely nerf the Vaznev into the ground right when all the CDL camos are meant to come out for it. So, you know, that was a concern, and it's taken a while for them to arrive in the game, but now they finally have, and all the 12 teams have one. They've had these designed over the last few months. These are what they look like from a big perspective. I'll look at some of them in detail here, in more detail in a second. There's a few really nice ones. I quite like what Surge are doing. Los Angeles Guerrillas, Toronto always do bangers. Also, Thieves on the close-up is very nice as well. But a lot of these are really cool. And the teams got to design them themselves, or they got to hire people to design them, which is just great stuff. We've asked for this for ages now, to actually have some team customization of the camos. And fundamentally, we talked about esports over the last few days, how you make it profitable and all this. This is like one of the key streams of revenue. If you're not making money for the teams through microtransactions, like they have barely any sources of revenue, this is one of the ways you actually can make it work. It's happened in other esports Esports, you know, Valorant and League of Legends and stuff, when they put the team camos and stuff in the game, the Champions bundle, for example, in Valorant that pays out to the teams, stuff like this, that they need to try and incorporate. And we've been asking for this for ages now. Now, yes, back in the day, let's say Black Ops 3, they had those phenomenal team pack bundles. For example, this was the OpTic gaming skin as it was at the time. The thing is with these skins, though, is that they were relatively simple patterns. Okay, they had a logo on, but they're relatively simple patterns just because they had to apply to every camo or every gun in the game. Right? You bought the camo pack for North America, APAC, or Europe or whatever, and then it would just apply all of those camos to all the weapons, right? Which is better, really, that you could use them on every gun, but it did mean that they could be less detailed because they had to apply for every single gun in the game, so they can't be specific designs in that sense, if you see what I'm getting at there. So these are some of the specific ones that teams have come up with. FaZe have designs what looks to be, they're trying to make this look like Diamond, or what Diamond should look like. Whether it actually looks like that in the game, I'm not sure, but they're trying to give it some texture, which I think is a pretty cool idea here. And also, you've got the team stickers as well, with the, you know, Simp's signature and all this type of stuff, and we see it on the other guns as well. This is the Thieves one. I really like the gold accent on this. The LA Thieves gold logo down here, like at the top and at the back, and even on the trigger, the gold accents are really nice with the red and black. So I think this is a really clean one, to be honest, here that Thieves have come up with. So it's great to see the teams have the ability and freedom to do this and execute what they want to, give it to the league, and finally it's actually arrived into the game. So it's taken some time, but it is now here, and all these Vaznems have arrived as blueprints into the game. This is the OpTic one. I'm sure you guys will be interested in this one. I must say it's interesting right now. Some people really like this skin. I think it's a pretty clean design, which I kind of agree. It's a pretty clean design, but it's not spectacular compared to some of the other ones. It's funny in a way, though. They've got Scumps, because they did this at the start of the year, right? So you've got Scump, and okay, Huke is actually here as well, but Scump's one is pretty interesting that he wasn't even on the team. But I guess when they did this, as I'm saying, a few months ago now, Scump was the one that actually got the signature submitted. But the OpTic skin is, you know, I don't think it's spectacular. They've got the OpTic logo here at the front of the barrel almost. I don't know that some people are roasting Hex a bit and saying, oh, you know, Hex, you've talked all these last few years about, oh, give us all this creative control, which is absolutely the right thing to call for, and I'm glad that he has done, because it has pushed the league in this direction where the team, or where the league is actually now giving the teams creative control to design their own camos that get put into the game. But, you know, there's an argument to say they could have done something a little bit more spectacular, but, you know, Hex is a creative guy, and that's what they've decided to come up with. And Daniel Sai actually comments on this and says, we heard the ask to deliver more customized team designs. So new this season, teams had the opportunity to create their own weapon blueprint in addition to the usual team bundle, and they absolutely ran with it. The designs are sick. Thanks to the teams and Infinity Ward for the partnership on this one. Versus camos, you can get more detailed with the blueprint. Good thing it's a Vaz world, which is absolutely true, because if the Vaz have got nerfed recently, this would be very unfortunate timing, and I know the teams, I'm sure, were worried about this as they were waiting for this to be all announced. So pretty interesting stuff. Good to see, I think, and hopefully they can take some steps forward with this going forwards. These are, you guys can see all the camos here on screen as they develop in the video. The Surge one's pretty nice as well, and there's all sorts of stuff going on there. Let's talk about the Kenny discussion, because yesterday we saw what he had to say about it onto FaZe, the playing the victim stuff, and how he feels like, you know, they started the drama and now they're the ones who are, you know, not so happy about the situation. But he also doubles down on the Cellium situation specifically. We saw a while ago now, the topic really started to get raised. I believe it was like one of the final online matches where OpTic played Boston, and Beans pulled out the Signal 50 sniper rifle. Been in the game for ages now, right? But it's a semi-auto sniper, and it's usually not one the pros want to use. I'm pretty sure this has been GA'd since way back in the beta, pretty much. Like, since the start of the game's life cycle, the pros have been like, yeah, we're not using that one, we're going to use the bolt action. But Beans was not actually the first to use this. Cellium, the week prior, pulled it out in a game as well, and, okay, didn't get as much attention because it wasn't against OpTic, but still, it was noticed by the pros. Beans saw it and thought, alright, well, Cell's using it, maybe I should use it as well. And then again, Cellium at the major was using it basically all the time. And Kenny's like, look, Cellium has deliberately broken the GA here. He asked Donny Temp, like, did you know it was GA'd? I thought it was GA'd. Donny Temp thought it was GA'd. Clearly, the other pros thought it was GA'd as well. GA, gentleman's agreement. The pros agree something shouldn't be used, so they decide not to and use an alternative. But Cellium's like, I don't care, I'm going to use it anyway. Kenny's like, look, he's deliberately broken the gentleman's agreement here, and this is not something he's particularly happy about.
Can we also, did y'all think, well, were you on the same wavelength that the Signal 50 was GA'd?
Yeah, I thought it was GA, yeah.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Bro, motherfuckers don't care when money's on the line, bro.
I get that, but then like tweet us last year saying we deserved the loss when Zach was one-way motherfucker on accident.
One way.
We deserved the loss. Yeah, last year at Cold War. I mean, not Cold War, Vanguard, my bad, Vanguard.
One way
like, Zach is
smoke?
the person. Yeah, the one-way smoke. Yeah.
I don't
So I'm
remember
saying
that.
Zach did it one time in a 1v1 when he was one shot, and Simp tweeted him saying like, "Oh, that's a deserved loss." Blah 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 blah. And that's where the beef started. That's where the shit talk started with Zach and like them, because he tweeted that saying like we deserve the loss.
I mean, if you get cheesed on, bro, like you're gonna be salty, bro.
It wasn't even against him. It was against a whole different team. It wasn't even
So he was
against
just
him.
he was just commenting like in a place where he didn't need to be talking type shit. Okay.
But that motherfuckers run the Signal 50 the whole event. While being told it's GA, they run it the whole event. And I gotta respect the like, y'all. I gotta respect the like, y'all. But it's like, to me, it's nuts.
It's hypocritical.
It's just absolutely nuts. I just find the principle of like, the GA, I'm finna just run this bitch. That is absolutely out this world. Like, okay, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna be 100.
Right,
Austin, he says, yo, I taught those kids how to play. Like, I feel like Austin was so hyped that they beat us that he just said that.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. That's how I see it. I don't think he didn't like think that like, bro, like he put the middle fingers up like he was a part of the shit.
Like, what do you mean he was a part of this shit? Like
he was part of Zach throwing up the middle fingers at champs. Like, brother, you were not on the team. Why are you throwing up the middle fingers? You were not a part of the situation.
Oh.
You know what I mean? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's like, it's like he trying to put himself in the beef that he not a part of. That's how I see it.
Yeah. I mean, he's on the team now.
Bro, okay, I get that. And the shit
that's
talk
like getting brought
afterwards.
into the beef. Like, that's your home.
No,
yes, it is.
Not.
Yes, it
No,
is.
it is not.
What you mean? He's on the team now.
No, that is not. But that does not play a part in it,
bro. If motherfuckers pick you up and like say also you all drop.
No. I'm saying the shit talking. The shit talking is fine. The middle finger part. The middle finger part. Like that was
when y'all do the middle finger shit.
Did it.
Last champs.
He did it. Like when we lost against them at the last event.
So were you massively surprised that the Signal 50 has been, GA'd? And there was even discussion during the weekends that it had been GA'd and the pros were going to stop using it. I think Cellium still pulled it out. And in the first place, Cellium was the first guy to use it anyway, when, okay, maybe he thought that it wasn't GA'd. But fundamentally, would you be massively surprised if there was one pro in the league that decided, you know what, actually I don't care if this is GA'd by the pros, I'm going to use it anyway? Would Cellium be the most likely character to be that guy? He's got to be up there, right? And it's happened in the past, even back in Cold War, when apparently his teammates were asking him, like, look, Cell, please stop snaking, the other guys have GA'd it, we don't want to use it, but Cell was still doing it anyway. So you can understand why Kenny's like, damn, this guy's at it again. And, it is making the rivalry even more interesting. Now, Bean says that Cellium used it in the game. He then asked the GA chat, nobody replied, and at that point he thought that it was fair game, which, maybe is understandable, and maybe the other team's fault for not exactly replying. But we know the beef between these two teams has been pretty interesting, and now Kenny's effectively looking at Cellium specifically and saying, hey, that should not have been the case. Now, what could the potential repercussions for this be? We know that in the past, if GAs get broken, there's been threats of blacklisting them from scrims, not even playing them in scrims, right? Or, other threats as of what they might do, potentially do it back themselves, which is another option. I mean, you guys might remember was it Cold War, when in challenges, there was some weapon, I think was it the QBZ or whatever it was, that was going to get GA'd by the pros. The challengers didn't want to do it, and therefore they basically just had GAs all out the window. They started putting out thermal sights, and it was an absolute mess for that challengers tournament that day, and they started putting everything out that's been bad. And in this game, a lot of stuff has been GA'd by the pros. So would you potentially get to see at some point, when Thieves or another team play FaZe, if Cell wants to keep using this Signal 50 that they've decided not to use, then, would you see teams pull other things out which are banned? I mean, we even saw back in, this is the famous example of breaking GAs from the World War II season. Clayster played Era, Eternity, and Groups, I believe, there, and he pulled out the M1 Garand, which was, banned. It was GA'd by the pros. He dropped a 1.21 KD with it. I don't really know why he was so keen on using this, because I believe he even told them before the series that he was going to use it, despite it being GA'd. Okay, it's not banned by the rule set, but the pros decided it was too powerful and wasn't going to be used. He actually apologized afterwards, and I believe he gave Era all of his prize money that he won from that tournament, because he was like, yeah, my bad, guys. I'm pretty sure he gave them all this prize money, or something like that anyway, or like the additional prize money he would have gained by winning that series, something like that. So even if it wasn't the most, didn't show the most integrity at the time, Clay then did follow up by doing a good deed to those guys. So, it's very interesting, right? I gotta say, I'm not massively surprised that if there was one in the league to be doing this, it's Cellium, but Kenny seems seems pretty convinced that Cell knew it was G8, because clearly the other pros knew it was G8, and Beans thought it was as well. So either Cellium just didn't know, or he deliberately decided not to, and therefore other teams might be plotting their revenge. He also had those thoughts on the Slasher, which I thought were pretty funny, that he's getting involved in beef that wasn't even involving him. But, you know, still, doesn't do anything to calm the beef between these two rosters. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.